Recording in progress.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's good to be with you tonight on this Shabbat. I know we're online, but we are thrilled to be with you in your homes. And we are very much looking forward to next week when we get to celebrate together in our space, our beautiful transitional sanctuary. And tonight we are honored to have David Barol with us as our cantorial soloist, leading us with our music and our tefillah. So we are going to begin with Hine Matov. He's going to start that for us as I share our slides with you this evening.
Hine matov umanahi shever achim gam yachad. 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 Hine matov umanahi shever achim gam yachad.
So we'll move now to a beautiful reflection that comes from Mishkan Halev. If you recall, we are now in the month of Elul, the month that immediately precedes the High Holy Days. And this is a time of reflection and introspection. So we're going to continue with a lot of different passages that come from Mishkan Halev that are all about the month of Elul. Before we slip too quickly into the season of the soul, let there be a Sabbath of Sabbaths for the heart. Before the music of creation's majesty, let there be a silent praise of existence. Before the feast of sanctified words, let there be a poetry of solitude. Before we enter the palaces of prayer, let us find within ourselves a place of calm. Before we revel in the wondrous and sublime, let there be an honest inward gaze. Before the rites and ceremonies of awe, let there be quieter days, an island of attentiveness. And with that, we will continue with lighting our Shabbat candles as we welcome the light of Shabbat today into the next 24 hours. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. And with the light of Shabbat with us, I invite you to draw those who are with you, who are close to you in this moment. I invite you to bring them near to you as we offer these words of blessing. Heyu asher tihiyu, v'heyu bruchim ba'asher tihiyu. Be who you are, and may you be blessed in all that you are. And these words of blessing that come from our Torah, from the book of Numbers. Yivarechechem Adonai v'yishmerechem. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elechem v'chunechem. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elechem v'yasem lechem shalom. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace. Amen. And with that, we take our fruit of the vine, our Kiddush cup, whatever you have tonight, whether it be wine or grape juice or some other delicious fruit. I invite you to join with me in Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzah banu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'yahavahu ratzon, hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila, lemikrae kodesh, Zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava u'ratzon, Hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat Lechaim. As we continue to welcome Shabbat into our midst, we move to Lecha Dodi, which is found, if you're following along in a Siddur, on page 138. As we welcome Shabbat with this beautiful poem and bring the warmth, the joy, the excitement, the thrill, the rest, the shalom of Shabbat with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad hishmeyanu el hamayuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad Shemo tiferet v'letila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor habracha Merosh mekedem nesucha Sof ma'aseh b'mashavat chila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela. Hitoreri hitoreri ki ba'orechu miori Uri uri shir daberi kavod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela. Boi v'shalom ateret bahala Gam b'simcha u'v'tzohala toch emunei am segula v'wichala Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalala 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela.
We'll continue now with Chatzi Kaddish as we move into the next section of our service, Chatzi Kaddish on page 144.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash meraba Be'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uv'yomechon Uv'chayetecho Beit Yisrael Ba'gala Ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'yemeru. Yehi shmei rabba mivarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach Yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudisha Brichu leila mimko birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran v'yalama v'yemeru.
If you would like, I invite you to rise if that is comfortable for you as we continue now with Baruch Hu on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam ba'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Moving now to the words of Ma'ariv Aravim, we'll join together. Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Bidbaro Ma'ariv Aravim, V'chochma Poteach Sha'arim, Uvitvuna Meshana Itim, Umachalif et Hazmanim, Umesader et HaKochavim, V'mishmerotehem Barakia Kirtzono. Borei Yom V'Laila, Golel Or Mipnei Choshech, V'choshech Mipnei Or, Uma'avir Yom Umevi Laila, Umavdil ben Yom uvein Laila, Adonai Tzebaot Shemo, El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Ata Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. And this passage, which comes from Mishkan Tefillah on page 151, wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch Ata Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
If you are still standing, I invite you to be seated. as we move now to the words of Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha mehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu latotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'hisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. On page 157, these words, as we introduce Michamocha, a song of freedom and redemption. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there's a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam, ya ba bim bim bam, ya ba bim bam. Ay dai 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 dai, ya ba bim bam. Ay dai 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 dai, ya ba bim bam. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehdar b'kodesh. Nora tehilo rosefelle, Nora tehilo rosefelle. Ma'alechutecha ra'uvanecha, Bokei ayam livnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Ze'Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Ya lai dai 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 dai, ya bye bye bim bam, ya bye 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 bye, ya bye bim bam. Ay dai dai dai, ya dai dai bim bam, ya dai 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 dai, ya bye bim bam.
On page 161 for Hashkivenu. Give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, Hapores Sukat Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Amo Yisrael, Ve'al Yerushalayim. And with that, we come to Vishamru on page 162, the words of Vishamru that sing and bring in that joy, that wonderful feeling we get on Shabbat.
Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam V'shamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We come now to Amidah, the standing prayer. So again, I invite you, if you'd like, to rise where you are as we join together in the first blessing of Amidah together, and then the first three after that.
Adonai tzifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Sohomech Noflim Verofech Oholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Givurot, Umido Mehela, Melech Meimit, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We'll take a few moments now for our own quiet and personal prayers and reflections. If you are standing, you are invited to be seated when your prayers are completed, and you are invited to join with us as we come back together for our song for peace.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
As we always do at this point in our service, we pause for a moment to think of those who are in our community of family and friends, our extended community, those who are in need of healing. And I know that in particular, as we finish this first week of school, there are a lot of people who are in need of healing, who are in need of some peace. And so we think of them tonight as we share the names of Sharon Silverstone and family, Marvin Jansen, Willow Walker, Judith Freed, George Arnold, Ann Byron, Yvonne Carson, Betty Clark, Mel Cohen, Marilyn Croman, Ariel Trinskazi, Elaine Dond, Cindy Gartner, Olitha Griffin, Sandra Gross Schulman, Louise Gurney, Bruce and Janice Gurney, Jim Haley, Nathan Henderson, Amy Karatkin, Marilyn Kerman, Faraday Kermani, Betty Lichtenstein, Sally Lichtenstein, Roberto Lufshanowski, Zully Lufshanowski, Anna Mejia Deitch, Grace C. Miller, Mark Nathan, Robin Nelson, Sharon O'Neill, Maxine Orkabi, Ann Pepper, Beverly Perlman, Gary Pico, Michael Pico, Ari Verchovsky, Jim Roque, Pamela Scott, Faith Sievert, Raymond Skip, Gloria Strachey, Fran and Larry Unger, Kathy Walker, Lauren Wyattrek, Eliezer Mordechai, Ben Rachel Leah, as well as those names that you'd like to share out loud. I invite you to share them within your home or within your heart at this time. As we pray for all of them to receive refuah shlema, a complete renewal of body and soul, as we join together in Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirits, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. It's nice to know that you are out there. We're happy to be able to bring the service to you in this way. And as Rabbi Levy mentioned earlier, we are very excited and happily anticipating next week, next Friday night, when we will be back home on Shoal Creek Boulevard in what will be this transitional sanctuary in Smith Auditorium. And we can't wait for you to see it. Also, in just starting, I want to echo also what Rabbi Levy said and thank our friend Dave Barol, who he and his beloved Rabbi Anna Gray Barol and their son Reuben have been an integral part of our congregation for many years. And Dave, thank you for filling in for Sarah Abner while she is taking some vacation time this week. So on this Shabbat, friends, I want to start with a story. This is something that happened a good number of years ago, probably in the early 2000s. And it is a time when I was afraid that I was about to start a riot in Upper Crust Bakery. For those of you who don't know, Upper Crust is more or less around the corner from the temple. It's an old Austin institution, and it's at the corner of 45th Street and Burnett Road. So yeah, I felt like I almost started a riot, an insurrection. And since normally I don't think I carry the image of a rabble rouser, I was going to tell you what happened with that. First of all, in order to fully appreciate the story, you must have at least once tasted the cinnamon rolls at Upper Crust Bakery. They are sweet, they are flaky, they are delicious, and they melt on your tongue. And if you are gluten-free, I mean no cruelty by this very palpable description. At least they taste as if there is at least an entire stick of butter in each and every cinnamon roll, and they're massive. They're about that big. The reason I was afraid that I might be responsible for triggering a violent uprising at the bakery was this. Again, this is probably close to 20 years ago, and on the particular Sunday morning in question, I stood in line at the bakery. There's always a line at Upper Crust Bakery on a Sunday morning. I was waiting to place an order. And when it was finally my turn, I said, I would like 35 cinnamon rolls, please. The person behind the counter didn't skip a beat. They folded together 3 large bakery boxes and began to load my cinnamon rolls into the boxes. At this moment, I got some rather unfriendly looks from the people in the back of me in line, at least some of whom I'm sure had intended from their facial expressions to buy cinnamon rolls for themselves that morning, and who looked on in dismay as I single-handedly cleaned Upper Crust out of all their cinnamon rolls that day. So you may be asking yourself, what were you even doing on a Sunday morning buying 35 cinnamon rolls anyway? The simple answer, the unvarnished truth, is this: I was making good on a bribe of my confirmation class. As I said, this was in the early 2000s, and back then religious school was moving through something of a baby boom, and so our confirmation class was gigantic that year. There were over 30 kids in confirmation. So returning to the topic of bribery, from time to time, when I really want my confirmation kids to pay attention to a question that I'm asking them to think about or to respond to, I'll say something like this. Okay, guys, this is a challenge question. This one is for cinnamon rolls from Upper Crust. And if everybody in the class can piece together the correct answer to the following question, everybody gets cinnamon rolls next week. Of course, this wonderful institution was placed on hiatus during lockdown and Zoom Sunday school. Happily, it is making a comeback. So you might say, well, Rabbi Fulberg, you're being kind of harsh on yourself. Strictly speaking, giving the kids cinnamon rolls is not really a bribe. That's more like an incentive. That's a reward. In fact, it's not unlike what they used to do back in the days of the shtetl, when the teacher would put honey on the Hebrew letters so that little ones beginning to learn the Aleph Bet, the Hebrew alphabet, could lick the honey off the page and thus be taught that the learning of Torah is sweet. All that's true, but when you get down to it, the upper crust cinnamon rolls are still a bribe. It's a way of getting the kids to focus on what we're talking about. In fact, I will even joke with them about this incentive, in air quotes, and I'll say, look, I'm not ashamed. I will stoop to anything to get you guys to pay attention. Anyway, the Hebrew word for bribe is shochad. And the Torah has a great deal to say about shochad, about bribery. And much of it is concentrated in shoftim, which is tonight's and tomorrow morning's Torah portion. A famous verse reads like this: V'lo tikach shochad, ki hashochad yi'aver einei chachamim v'salef divrei tzadikim. Which means, do not take bribes, because bribes, very poetic language here, blind the eyes of the wise and upset the plea of the innocent. When you think about it, in addition to cinnamon rolls, we use the bribe dynamic with pretty considerable frequency in our day-to-day lives. Rewarding children for good behavior is or can be a kind of bribe, and parents wrestle with the propriety or impropriety of offering their kids rewards for desirable behavior. We want to teach them in Jewish terms that, as the rabbis say, the reward of doing a mitzvah is the opportunity to do another mitzvah. Mitzvah gorer mitzvah. One good thing leads to another. We want them to be internally motivated, not externally motivated. And yet, when you think about it, even the Torah text itself sometimes resorts to a kind of bribery in trying to get the Israelites to toe the line. After all, doesn't Moses promise his people all sorts of great rewards, good crops, fertile farm animals, peace, in exchange for keeping the brit, the covenant? Well, when this week's Torah portion condemns bribery, it's not talking about the various incentives, so to speak, that businesses offer their employees to motivate them to sell more widgets, or the promised rewards that we dangle in front of our children's noses. The opening line of the portion says that we are to appoint judges and magistrates in all our settlements. Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha. Appoint judges and magistrates. So the context of the Torah portion is justice and judges and courts of law. And the portion is concerned about judges or other officials being offered bribes to interpret the law in someone's favor or against someone else. In this beautiful poetic language, as we've already said, the Torah condemns bribery and the way that it corrupts judges and perverts justice. Again, the English would be something like, you shall not take bribes, for bribes blind the eyes of the discerning, that is the judge, and upset the pleas of the innocent, causing the innocent and the powerless to be punished. It's possible to take these principles off in lots of different directions, and thinking about the fact that we will soon, a little more than a year from now, be in an election season. I've been thinking about these verses of Torah in my own mind in relationship to what we dryly sometimes call campaign finance reform. When you think about it, after all, are not the enormous sums of money poured into re-election campaigns by all different sorts of groups in exchange, presumably, for favoritism when the recipient of the donations is later elected, is that not really at root a kind of institutionalized bribery? I give a donation, I pay money, I'm hoping for some kind of a payback. At its worst, the influence of money in our political system has caused more than one jaded soul to remark, we no longer have a democracy, we in fact have an auction. Of course, in order for a bribe to work, somebody has to be willing to be bribed. Is it true, as we sometimes hear actors say on television and in the movies, that everybody has their price? You just have to know what it is, that anyone, even you or I, could be bought with the right incentives. And this is a very old question. What about headlines concerning powerful public officials being indicted on charges of corruption? How is one accused of shochad, of bribery, to be given a fair trial, on trial for that bribe? It's at the root of a story that I found in a commentary on the Torah portion about an actual historical figure. His name was Rabbi Shmelka of Nikolsburg. They had me at Rabbi Shmelka. What a name. Anyway, the story goes that this particular rabbi, back in the days when he was functioning actively as a community rabbi and a judge in the town of Nikolsburg, used to keep a walking stick and a duffel bag hung on the wall of the Beit Din, the rabbinic court over which he presided. Once, one of the benefactors who supported him and his community asked him what that strange wall hanging, the walking stick, and the duffel bag was supposed to mean. It is said that he answered as follows. Rabbi Shmelka said, "You community leaders need to know that I will show no favoritism, that I do not throw decisions or play favorites. With me," he said, "it is what it is. As our sages say, the law can overturn a mountain." And he went on, "If any of you is not satisfied with my rulings, behold, I am always ready and willing to leave the rabbinate, to take my staff and my duffel bag and wander and go wherever I must to survive, even if it meant, heaven forbid, returning to the doorways of people who would give me tzedakah, who would be charitable toward me." I smiled when I read this, thinking that if David Mamet, the famous playwright known for his tough guy dialogue, were retelling that story about Rabbi Shmelka, he might have Rabbi Shmelka say something like, "Nobody is going to buy or sell this rabbi." Anyway, one of the things that makes the Torah feel and be sacred in my reading of it is the way that it pushes us to wrestle with issues of holiness and human decency that were pressing even in the days of the Torah millennia ago and are still pressing on us because human nature remains as it is. This text from this week's portion about integrity, about doing what is right, about refusing to be bought or sold, and probably, yes, also about cleaning the bakery out of cinnamon rolls on a Sunday morning, speaks to us today as much as it did in ancient days, perhaps even more strongly today. May we always be inspired by these words to do what we know to be right, rather than what is lucrative or expedient or even popular. And with that, I wish you Amen and a Shabbat Shalom. So we are going to move on now to our closing prayers, beginning with Aleinu. It is in a sticker in the back of your book, if you have a hard copy prayer book, or in front of you on the slide that you're about to see.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, la'tekedu la'leotzer breshit, shehu asanu kishomrei ha'adama, v'hu samanu kishlichei ha'torah, shehu sam chayenu itam, v'gor aleinu im kol ha'olam. V'hanachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz Vayom hahu, Vayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo echad.
This is a time indeed for remembrance. As we move our service toward its conclusion, we pause for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, and we mention aloud first the names of members of our greater CBI family who have been taken from the lives of their friends and loved ones in these past Shloshim, these past 30 days. And they include Keith Silverblatt, husband of Shelley, father of Julie and Rebecca, father-in-law of Vinnie Hogan and Alex Sierra, and grandfather of Alyssa, Clara, Noah, and Gabriel. Herb Weiss, father of Morris, father-in-law of Lauren Ravkind, and grandfather of Sarah, Ariana, and Alyssa. Juan Ignacio Menendez, father of Monica Lasky, father-in-law of Robert, and grandfather of Malka, Moshe, and Michal. Sarah Leon, sister of Blanche Brody, and sister-in-law of Mark, aunt of Isabella. Nick Burke, brother-in-law of Harold Zakon, sister-in-law of, brother-in-law of Harold Zakon and Lynn McAnally, pardon me, and uncle of Danny and Alex Zakon. Anita Rudnick, mother of Stacy, mother-in-law of Michael Heineck, grandmother of Sabrina, Henry, and Jason Hassick. And John Jack Levitt, father of Matt, father-in-law of Lisa, grandfather of Rebecca and Gabriella, and husband of Rachel. To their names, we add the names of members of our congregation whose yard site, the anniversary of whose passing, falls out this week and this Shabbat. And they include Warren Ackerman, Joy Alexander, Muriel Biener, Edward Biondi, Earl Blue, Rebecca Blumenson, Mitzi Bootson, Marvin Brenner, Jerome Birkin, Helen Cookler, Lois Daniller, Salma Davis, Betty Davis, David Robert Dochin, Sarah Dolich, Charles Eichenbaum, Marion Fashko, Abraham Frankel, Maggie Garrettson, Charlotte Garson, Shimon Glosser, Gerald Grossner, Abraham Gross, Michael William Hertzberg, Zima Lee Jansen, Alan Mason, Robert May, Cheryl Morano, Jeffrey Moss, Zilla Paquier, Selma Parrell, Eileen Rosen, Marcus Rosenwasser, William Jonathan Rubin, Rosalind Sandgarten, Selma Smith, Max Snayman, Goldie Spitzer, Maddie Lou Steiner, Charlie Stewart, Frank X. Trevino, Kevin Underhill, Rose Wechter, Lillian Weisberg, Ida Wolf, and all the others whose memories are such a blessing to us. We continue with Kaddish Yatom. If you'd like to rise where you are, feel free to do so, and please join with us as we say Yitgadal v'Yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, V'Alma Divrachi Rutei V'Yamlich Malchutei, V'Chayechon U'Vyomechon U'V'Chayei D'Chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala U'Bizman Kariv V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach, La'alam U'La'almei Almaya, Yitbarach V'Yishtabach, V'Yitpa'ar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh, V'Yithadar V'Yitalev V'Yitalal, Shemei D'Kudesha Barichu, Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbachata V'Nechemata, Da'amiran V'Yalma V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chayim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mramav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Al Kol Yoshvei Tevel V'Imru Amen. Feel free to take a seat. And we are going to continue with some Hodaot, some announcements for this weekend. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., Torah study, which I will be leading. We will be both here at the temple in the boardroom, and also you can access us via Zoom in a link that's on the temple website. 10:30 a.m., we have a lay-led Shabbat service, also in person and online. Rabbi Levy will be there, and Annabelle Bogert, an upcoming Bat Mitzvah student, will be pitching in to help lead that service as well. Yes, we are still having a back-to-school supply drive. You can donate until August 31st. You see, we're trying to raise $500 for our partner organization, Communities in Schools. If you click on this little graphic on the temple website, you will be able to make a donation. Our Caring Community Committee is relaunching as we begin to once again ramp up some really essential temple committees that were somewhat in hiatus during the period of most intense COVID and lockdown, and Caring Community is a major and an important one. As you see, it says, join us in discussing and planning how we can support, connect, and provide opportunities in our community so that people know that they are cared about. August 24th, 5:30 to 6:30 in the boardroom. We hope you will be able to come. Next Friday night, the slide has been getting more and more timely. Friday, August 25th, 6 p.m. with a service starting at 6:30 p.m. We have a reopening celebration of our new transitional sanctuary in the Smith Auditorium space. And it should be quite something to see. There may be some final bits and pieces that are not quite finished, but it will be, you'll more than be able to tell what a beautiful space it's going to be. We're very excited. We hope you can come for that. Religious school is still looking for part-time religious and Hebrew school teaching positions. You can see there that you can contact Lainey Komarovsky or Carly Sira for more information about teaching. Believe it or not, High Holy Days are here in just a little less than a month. And we are going to be back home on Shoal Creek Boulevard in the newly renovated Smith Auditorium. We will live stream as well. I just sent out to all our members a lengthy email describing how to sign up, and that procedure is different this year than it has been in years past. We don't want anyone to miss out unnecessarily if they want to be in person. So check out that email, and also you can look on the temple website about registering. Speaking of the Yamim Noraim, the days of awe, Sarah Avner, our cantorial soloist, is very interested in having people who like to sing in chorus, in choirs, strengthen our High Holy Day choir. Again, you can reach Sarah. Her email address is not there, but it's savner, all one word, at bethisrael.org. If you are going to be live streaming from home, for all or some of the services, you can check out library style Machzorim, High Holy Day prayer books from the chapel, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Up until Friday, September 8th. Cale Clark, one of our newer staff members at the temple, is the person you would contact for after hours pickup. So check that out. We're happy to entrust these beautiful prayer books to you to use and then bring back. Often when we think of the High Holy Days, we think of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, but actually Sukkot and after that Simchat Torah are also part of this fall Holy Day season. For $54, you can have your own lulav and etrog set. Even if you're unable to build a sukkah at home, you can still shake the lulav and etrog. It's a beautiful ritual also to do, not only if you're an adult, but also if you have kids, or you can come to the temple sukkah and shake your lulav and etrog and also bring it to services. They're beautiful. And again, get on the High Holy Day order form and you can order your lulav and etrog. The holidays go on and on and on. Everybody wants a sweet new year, and you can help to make someone's new year even sweeter and also give some tzedakah in the process by partnering with Sisterhood and Ort, the wonderful Jewish organization, to give a gift of honey in a personalized package with a gift card to someone that you want to have a sweet new year. And you can see Judy Molinix is the contact. And again, this is on the temple website. We are always looking for Shabbat greeters. And I would say even more so now that we are going to be meeting back home on Shoal Creek Boulevard in person. If you like to be friendly and say hi to people, and who doesn't, you can click on the temple website and inquire and be one of our greeters to make everyone's experience when they walk through the door feel warm and welcoming. IACT, Interfaith Action of Central Texas, the biggest congregational interfaith organization in our neck of the woods, is still looking for mentors for 15 to 24-year-old refugees who have come seeking refuge in Austin. It is extremely satisfying work. Again, on the temple website, you can find out how to do that. Adon Olam will be our closing song tonight. Again, Dave Burrell, thanks to you so much for leading us, and we hope you'll join in singing with us together. Adon Olam.
Before we start the Adon Olam, thank you for welcoming me into your home for Shabbat. The words that are up are a little bit different than the version we're doing. It never got swapped out apparently, but you can bear with me and we go through. This version is a French Sephardic melody that I grew up with, and I know we've done a few times here. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa b'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra v'acharei kichlot hakol לבדו ימלוק נורא, והוא היה, והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא יהיה בתפארה. והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשיל לו, להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז, והמשרה, ולא העוז, והמשרה. והוא אלי וחי גואלי, בצור חבלי, בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא. בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת תישן ויהירה, ועם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא, אדוני לי ולא אירא.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos. All